Good morning, everybody. Congratulations to the class of 2023. I am so proud of you. Let's hear it for all of you. Before I begin, I want to thank President Spinelli, the entire administration, faculty, for the amazing work that you do. As someone who over the last several decades have hired hundreds and hundreds of Babson students, the work that you do is incredible. The young people that you bring into the workplace is amazing, and I want to thank all of you for the work that you do because it makes a huge difference, and you're the ones who inspired this amazing class. So again, to the faculty, thank you very much. So folks, in the fall of 1983, I applied to Babson College. My GPA was hovering around a 2.0. My SATs were an uninspiring 1,050, and I was a below-average hockey player. Now, I know what you're thinking. Someone over there in admissions made a mistake. Notwithstanding that mistake, 35 years ago, almost to the day, I sat on this campus, graduating from Babson College. My commencement speaker was a man by the name of Casey Jones. Does anybody remember who Casey Jones was? So Casey Jones was the coach of the Boston Celtics. With all due respect to Casey Jones, outside of him promising to beat LA, I don't remember anything he said. My goal today for you graduates is not to remember me in 35 years, but the one simple message I want to share with you today. I've had the privilege of working at one place for 35 years, PwC. Like you in the pandemic, my career began and I lived through the dot-com bust in the early 2000s. I had the chance to lead in the great financial crisis and more recently lead through the global pandemic. I've advised hundreds of CEOs and boards on strategy, culture, people matters. I've had the privilege of meeting with 2 US presidents, countless members of Congress to talk about things like immigration, regulation, economy, inflation, and the like. I've met with generals, admirals, Academy Award winners, and I've been to 70 countries across the globe. But without a doubt, the single most important and rewarding thing that I have done is had the privilege of leading 65,000 people at PwC. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I don't want to talk about finance, economics, marketing, digital, or even accounting. I'd like to talk about people and the amazing things that can happen when you lead with empathy, caring, and when you lead with love. Now, I know some of you saying, love, Tim, this is a business school, don't you remember? I do. And I know a lot has changed. But the reality is, you're all going to be entering the working world in some way, shape, or form. And the secret to solving those challenges of climate and where the world is going in social divide all comes down to one simple word, and that is love. I began my career at PwC in 1988. I was the first person in my family to graduate college. Both my parents were blue-collar workers, and I didn't know what to wear. My mother took me to Sears to help me buy 2 suits, shirts, and ties. That first day going in the commuter rail into Boston, I was nervous like you wouldn't believe. I got to the office, there were 54 other people starting. And I went down to the training room, and I immediately felt like I didn't fit in. I could feel myself clamming up, I could feel the nervousness, and I could feel the sweat on my palms. As the day wore on, it got incredibly hot in the room. People began to take their jackets off because of the heat. And I began to notice that everybody in the room had either a long-sleeve white shirt on or a long-sleeve blue shirt on, and they were all cotton shirts. Finally, it got so hot that I had to take my jacket off. And when I took my jacket off, I felt like every single eye in the room was on me. Because underneath my Sears jacket, I had a short sleeve white polyester shirt. Finally, lunchtime came. And I tried to hurry out of the back of the room, and one of the instructors grabbed me, and he said, "Come with me." And he took me down to Filene's basement, and he showed me the right shirts to buy, and he bought me two. That instructor showed me love. That instructor was a Babson alum. I had the privilege of being elected chair and senior partner by my partners in April of 2016. My role was not set to begin in term until July 1, 2016. I had an amazing plan for becoming our CEO. My professors would have been thrilled and proud. My plan: grow revenue, leverage technology, and steal market share. It was really good. My term began on July 1, 2016. That week was marred by violence in Louisiana and Minneapolis, and that Thursday night there were shootings in Dallas. We showed up to work that Friday morning and we didn't know what to do. My team and I got around the table and we talked about the fact that things were on our people's minds, and we did something that was not terribly remarkable. We sent an email, I sent an email, and it just said, "I know you're hurting. We're here and we care about you." What happened afterwards was completely remarkable. Almost 1,000 people wrote me in the first 12 hours, and while they were all different, there was a theme, and it was summed up by one young woman. And she said, "Tim, PwC has made incredible progress over the last couple of decades around inclusion and making people feel comfortable in the workplace, but when I came to work Friday morning, the silence was deafening." And folks, I knew I needed to take that great plan and chuck it out the window. Because what became clear to me is that as a young, ambitious CEO who had a plan, my plan, that the people I were counting on to help achieve that plan were coming to work and they had other things in their minds and their hearts were broken. And I knew I needed to address that, because achieving that plan would have no prayer in hell of it accomplishing. And so we decided to tackle the problem head on. Got around my leadership team table, and we decided that we were going to shut our firm down for a day to talk about uncomfortable topics, and to specifically talk about the uncomfortable topic of race. And we targeted July 21. In the intervening 2 weeks, I was out meeting with our clients, a big part of my role. And I was out meeting with one Fortune 50 CEO of a company every single person in this room would know, and I shared with him what we were doing. And I said we were going to shut the firm down in about a week and talk about race. He sat across the table, he looked me in the eye, and he said, "It's too raw, it's too emotional, don't do it, it's going to blow up in your effing face." And we did it. And on that day, July 21st, 2016, what we learned is that many of our white professionals were uncomfortable and didn't know what to say. They wanted to help but didn't know how. We learned that our black professionals were worried about being nervous, and they were worried about safety outside the workplace. One young man in New York told me that day, he said, "Tim, I feel safe in this office with my suit. But when I'm going to my softball game down in Central Park, walking down Fifth Ave in my shorts, in my t-shirt, I don't feel safe." Folks, we shed more tears on July 21, 2016 than we had in our 160-year history cumulatively. And most importantly, we began to learn about each other. And you know what? That CEO was wrong. It didn't blow up in our face. It catapulted us to the next level because we showed love. Now, folks, I often get asked by young professionals beginning their careers, what advice do I have for you? And the simple truth, my advice to you is the same advice I give to CEOs today. I know you have great plans. I did. But just remember, the people you're counting on to help you achieve those great plans, it's a young person starting and they feel uncomfortable about the way they're dressed. It is someone who is uncomfortable talking about how they feel in the workplace. It is a working mother trying to put food on the table. It is a father wondering whether he's spending enough time with their son. And it is somebody struggling with mental health in the workplace. And they are looking to you not just for a plan, but they're looking to you for love. And they're looking for you to help them fit in. And when you do, your amazing plans will conquer all of those things we worry about, like artificial intelligence, like climate, like social divide, and it'll all happen when you lead with love. Now, folks, when I was at Babson, I had a professor. His name was Richard Bruno. He has since passed. He stood up here during my year as Professor of the Year, and he was amazing. And he said to me, he said, hey, Tim, I want you to give this thing called public accounting a try. First generation college student, I said to him, Bruno, I don't want to work for the government. He said, no, dummy, it's not working for the government. He said, it's business. And he said, business is about people. And I think you'll be good at that, as he waved his finger. Me, I wanted to open up a sub shop. And it was going to be really good subs. But I figured I would give Bruno's advice a try. And you know what? Bruno was right. Business is about people. And leading people is about love. And so my simple message for the class of 2023 is I want you to lead with love. To the class of 2023, congratulations. I'm incredibly proud of you. Have a great day.